Welcome to the studio, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Krizbeatz, the drummer boy, and you are welcome to World Wave Radio, where we bring the world to you. I'm going to be showing you 13 mixing tips I wish I knew earlier when I listened to some of those mixes I made way back before I had the opportunity to go and study properly on audio technology that I did. 13 mixing tips I wish I knew earlier, and I'll be throwing in some tricks and trips while showing you, and I'll be using this song I just mixed for Bella Shmurda and Nasty C, which is the Philo remix. So yes, I'll get back to it after the intro.
Whip it, whip it, whip it, whip it, whip it.
Wanna let the beat drop.
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. Yes, still your boy Krizbeatz, the drummer boy. So the first thing you want to invest in as an audio engineer, as a mix person, as a producer, is how you listen to music. You might start by headphones. Try to invest in a good headphone. If you are still starting and you are still trying to manage money. And secondly is a good monitor. I think you can get a good headphone from about $100 to $500. And something like this, I recommend, you can get something like this. It allows you to properly hear everything and is, relatively flat. Even though they will tell you that the response is flat, but I noticed that the high is a little bit, not so much, a little bit much. And the low end is perfect. The mid is perfect. But just the top end a little bit. So yes, invest in a good pair of headphones or in a good monitor. Before we even start talking about treating your space, it's very important that you first of all get used to the type of headphones you use. You get used to the type of listen to random music on your headphone, which is we're still going to get into referencing. Play different songs, like get used to your headphone. The same thing with the speaker, get used to your speaker. Relax with your speaker, play random songs on your speakers. Of course, when I say speaker, I'm talking about the monitor, and you can get a good pair of monitor from $500 to $5,000. Secondly, use a reference track in your mix. Compare your mix with a song that sounds like your song, something that is professionally mixed that you can compare your song with, that can give you like a start. So what I usually do is, let's say I'm mixing this song now. I want to bring in, of course I didn't use any reference track for this because this is a remix and the original I already mixed by myself. So let's say this is a song, and let me try to crank this up so it looks like it's mastered already. So let's say this is my mastered song. I want to come here, like the reference I'm using, I want to come here and add like maybe like a utility plugin and go -12 on that, -12. You get, so that brings it down to about the same level as the track I'm working on. On Ableton, there's a way I can route it to play on a separate master. Of course, you can do it on here too, but that's like a whole new thing. So yes, always use a reference track. Listen back and forth with your reference mix so that you can always listen in case you are still in line with what you are trying to create. So it can help you identify the areas where you need to make improvements. It can help you focus on, if something is too loud, if something is too low, that can help you. So referencing your track, I recommend this 100%. Third tip is use EQ to balance unwanted frequencies. This is very important, and the type of EQ you use is also very important to the type of sound you will get. Different EQs have different sounds that they introduce to your mix. Remember, you want to use EQ first to cut before doing anything. So in this case, EQ can help you make some certain frequency of a sound sit well with each other. That is your instrumentals and your vocals. Frequency shifting, knowing how to shape your frequency right, helps you build that. I have a video on frequency and what they do, so you can check out EQ tips I wish I knew earlier on this page. So I'm still going to do a tutorial on this full mix of this song. Before that, shaping your frequency right can help you a great deal. So let me show you what I mean by that. So you want to start by
Nothing where I no go do for my philo.
This is the rough voice. Do you understand? If you can hear.
Nothing where I no go do for my philo. Rest on me like pillow. ọmọ tó pọ̀ 10 kilo, 10 kilo.
So what you want to do is you grab your EQ.
Nothing where I no go do for my.
Of course, turn it on.
Nothing where I no go do for my filo. Nothing where I no go. Nothing where I no go do. Nothing where I no go do for my filo. Rest on me like pillow. Ọmọ tó pọ̀ 10 kilo.
You can already hear that rumble. You get. So the first thing, cutting off all the unwanted frequencies, listen through. Of course, I'm not doing any of this right now. I'm just explaining. So listen through to the frequencies you feel like might cause you harm, to the frequencies that you feel like you don't want, to the frequencies that you feel like might destroy something in your mix. And then you want to go into those ones and dive into them and try to correct, cut. Majorly, I advise my students to cut more than you boost. Fourth thing you want to do is compression. I have a video on compressing, on how compressor works. You want to look into that. You want to use compressor. And this, you have to be careful with how you use compression. Really go in and learn it. Try to understand how compressors work. You want to try to use your compressor to control your dynamic range. You can use the compressor to polish some sounds. You can use it to shape the way you want sound, your fast attack and slow release. Yes, you really want to know how your compressor works, because that's like the major thing that gives your song a character, that's like the polish of your song. That's like, when you have a shoe and then you want to shine your shoe. Yeah, so number 5, use reverb and delay to create depth and space. Use, of course, reverb and delay to create depth and space. When we say reverb and delay, we're not talking about you just slapping your reverb on your boss like this. See, you can do this when you are recording. You can do this while recording, but after recording, you don't need to do this. You want to use your sends, in some cases here they call it boss. You want to use your sends to send to your channel. That way it allows you to control the dry and the wet properly, so you can use automations and stuff to add 1 or 2 things to it. Let me show you what I did with this.
Nothing where I no go do for my filo. Rest on me like pillow. ọmọ tó pọ̀ 10 kilo.
I have like 2 to 3 types of reverb on that. I have a plate reverb, I have a room reverb, and I have the big hall reverb, which you'd hear properly when Omale's part comes in. You'll be able to hear that properly. So yes, use that to create depth. If you notice here,
I like
so you add different things. Use automation to create stuff like that, a tremolo effect. So yeah, I like to do that because it gives me it makes me feel good. Those are one of the creative mixing. Yes. So yes, creative mixing course is a cheaper course on Krizbeatz Music Academy. So you can sign up for the creative mixing and you can get to learn all these things, how to do creative mixing. It's not really the traditional mixing of making everything sound good. This is making everything sound better. So you can sign up for that, just to put that in there. Yes, so that's it for that. So number 6 thing you want to do is, like I mentioned in the previous tip, use automation to add movement and interest to your song. Automation can help you add movement and interest your mix by changing levels, panning, and using individual parameter to create stuff. What is all that English? Automation helps you add character to your music. It gives your music life. It's not just a straight song. The reverb is the delay is so sometimes change things, add flangers to your delay, set a particular frequency in your delay. Don't let the whole signal delay. Maybe you want just your mid, you get your low mid to be the delay. Maybe you want just the high mid. I know low mid feels like this. I don't want anything to affect my mix, and I know when you're coming a bit, it sounds like you're opening it up a bit, So yes, use automation to create movement and stuff to your mix. The 7th thing you want to do is, yes, use stereo imaging to create width and separation in your mix. What do I mean by width and separation? We already know that your bass, your kick, they are supposed to be in mono. So putting everything in stereo causes phase cancellation. You will see that when they play your song in some clubs usually have their speakers, their subs in mono, and then you see it doesn't everything doesn't sound compact. It doesn't sound like there's no life to it. Is because your kick sometimes might be in stereo. And a good way you can try to know what is happening in your mix, try to look for stereo imager. Okay, yeah. If you listen to this, this is just the instrumental. I'm trying to analyze the instrumental. If you see this, you see everything. My kick, when the kick hits, you notice how it comes straight. It's trying to tell you that my kick is in mono. And then when the pad, you see how round it looks when the pad comes. You see, that's to tell you that my kick is in mono, kick bass is in mono. And there's a trick I do, that's to duplicate my bass, and I mix them separately. I mix the low end separately, the high end separately. I put like a stereo spreader. I put like a spreader by DJ Will on it, so the top is wide, the down is still compact. So if you are listening on phone, you get the good quality of the bass. If you are listening in your car, you hear, and we'll go in depth when we're talking about this mixing, how I mixed this song. So number 8, this is probably the most important thing and the most not talked about things you can use in your mix, and which is to use saturation and distortion to add warmth to your music, to add warmth to your mix. It can destroy your mix totally, and it can make your mix so beautiful if you apply it well. So what do? You try to learn to use it, learn to make it work well. Don't just start adding things without knowing what they do. First, take out your time, learn to use them. I can go in depth if there is a topic that interests you. To use parallel processing to add depth and power to your mix. Yes, so remember how I said you need to use parallel processes to add mix, to add reverb, use all those. When they say parallel processes, they are talking about having like the New York, I've forgotten, the New York 90 styles or something. That talks about trying to add, not adding things directly to your insert channel. Try to add it by using send, or some plugins come with the mix knob. The mix knob talks about mixing the two sounds. That's having the one from your main source and the one from your plugin. What do I mean by that? I wanted to add a parallel compression on this. So what did I do? I added this guy here, the Pro C2 from FabFilter, and I squashed it really hard, and I added it, and I used this guy. So if I want to listen to just my parallel compression, I will listen to it. I will listen to it like this. See how squashed that is. Yes, that can help you add depth to an individual mix, an individual track, without affecting the clarity of the whole track. So basically do it by ear. You don't do it by explanation. You do it by ear, and you must have trained your ear properly. Trust your ear to know to an extent. So yes, 10th thing you should do is to try to use sidechain. Sidechain is the golden rule of music production, especially when you are trying to mix. Maybe mixing for a client, maybe mixing for yourself. Sidechain is the golden rule. I already did some sidechain to this one, but let me just say something. Okay, so let's say I have this and I want to sing the song. Nothing when I no go do for my philo. Rest on me like pillow. When you say my philo, better body them they 10 kilo. Or my toshan confirm say, met this girl from Ghana. Let's say I did that and I want to explain this. I want to add a sidechain of this. Like let's say I want to add nothing when I no go do for my philo. Rest on me like pillow. When you say my philo, better body them they 10 kilo. Yeah, so you must first of all understand that this mic is not meant for singing, and it's different from the mic that we recorded this on. So it might not sound as perfect as the other one sounded. So without sidechain effect, it sounds like this. Of course, let me even dial it down a bit, maybe to like 0. Nothing when I no go do for my philo. You see, it's syncing everything from the vocals, everything in the vocal is syncing. So what you want to do with sidechain, and what sidechain allows you to do, is you come and add a compressor that allows you to put a sidechain. And let me even rename these to Krizbeatz Babao. I say Babu. Yeah, so I want to sidechain this to my Krizbeatz Babao signal. Do you understand? I pick for here, turn this off. So
Nothing where I no go do for my feet.
you hear the same thing. All I want to do here is to come and use my threshold to affect the mix. So see what I'm saying?
Nothing where I no go do for my filo. Rest on me like pillow. When you say my filo, better body them 10 kilo.
You understand? So immediately it makes the sound better, and then you can use your attack and release to affect how you want it to come. Do you want it to come once? Let me show you what I mean.
Nothing where I no go do for my filo. Rest on me.
You know how anytime I'm not saying anything, it comes back up immediately. So if you want it to take time to come back up, you can let it come back slowly.
Nothing where I no go do for my filo. Rest on me like pillow.
You get, if you want it faster, you can go.
Nothing where I no go do for my filo. Rest on me like pillow. Nothing where I no go do for my.
Of course, this is an extreme use. You get, want to use it like about here and create something.
Nothing where I no go do for my filo. Rest on me like pillow.
So this helps you allow your mix to reduce how complicated your mix is, how things are fighting for space, yes. And another good way to use it in your mix is your bass. That's your sub and your kick. That's your bass and your kick. You want to use this same docking effect to create movement. And yes, I will still talk about sidechain if you want me to. Sometimes before I even knew about this trick, I was doing it manually. So when the thing is playing, when my kick is playing, I'll go there and add what's it called, EQ. Before I even knew about multi-band EQs, I'll go and add a curve EQ, then I'll add a compressor to that curve. So anytime it happens, it docks. But yeah, technology made everything easier for everybody. So yes, thank God for technology. So number 11, blend your mix properly. It allows you to control the stereo width, and it allows you to balance things separately, so you can focus on your side and you can focus on your mix. Still on the mixing, you want to use your high pass filter and your low pass filter as much as possible. Most of the samples that you get from your sample supplier or something, most of them don't come with that. And even if they do, there might be like an extra noise due to a plugin that is opened or something that adds an extra noise. So you'd want to take your extra time to try to cut those lows and those excessive highs that you don't want. So if you use the Pro Q has something called like a brick wall, but they have both for the low cuts and the high cuts. You can use that to actually dial in your mix properly. You can use the headphone, the solo button to listen to what it's doing, you get. And of course, if you have good monitors, good headphones, you can hear that. Number 13, use bus processing to glue together multiple tracks. That is, take all your backups, put them in a group, glue them together with compressor. Compressor is perfect.
Man, now let the beat
drop. Mix them together. It helps you put everything in harmony. As a matter of fact, when I'm trying to export for mastering, sometimes I export instrumental, lead, backup, so I can control them in the mastering phase. That is my style. Different persons and how they want to do it. Do you understand? And even when I'm sending for mastering, I like to send it like that. I'll send you the one and I'll send you like that, so that you have everything. You don't want to tell me, I was trying to do this to the mix, that's why I ended up with something like this. No, I'll send you everything that you need, which is advisable if you're trying to send me your mix to master, or if you're trying to send something to anybody to master, you want to make it like that. 13 tips that I wish I knew earlier. There you have it. If you're new on this channel, please subscribe. If you think this channel, if you think you want to be a part of the family, you can subscribe. We have a WhatsApp group where we talk about music, everything music related. And there's a link in the description, the admin, there's someone in charge of the group that manages the group. So whatever thing you want to talk about, we share different things, from how you can be a better music producer, how you can get free plugins, the updates on plugins that we need when they update, where you can get free tips and free everything free. They post at least 2 to 3 times in a month, and they will charge you like a one-time thing to be on the group. I'm on the group as well, but I might be anonymous because I don't want people adding me personally. And yes, I hope we've been able to come to a good conclusion on what you can do to better your mix. And I'll see you in the next class. Love.